Hello, welcome to this special episode of the Third Culture Crossroads. This isn't our official launch or first episode, but we feel we have to, bring it up, bring everything up to speed because of what's happening in the world today. So this episode we just wanted to address Charlie Kirk's murder. May he rest in peace. Because where we operate, I think we're a really good example of where, we're different, very different backgrounds, very different, religions and beliefs, and yet we're good friends and we come together in really good faith and have very robust and sometimes, heated arguments. But what we stand for is the freedom of speech, and we encourage debate, and because through that debate we can find the thing that we're both searching for. We're both searching for truth. We're both searching for a way to live together in harmony, a way to shore up our values, I guess.
Yeah. So on that, this is an emergency podcast because of the events that have transpired over the last few days, and the fallout from that, I guess you could say as well. But I guess one of the main questions I want to start off with, right, is, are words violence?
That's almost a whole episode. The thing is, before we get into that, I think there's several things like I wanted to address, because I think, especially being in the entertainment industry, there were a lot of people who are very strongly against conservative values, because I totally understand the sentiment of just wanting everyone to get along. And if you stand up for something that makes you feel uncomfortable, or other people feel uncomfortable, that can feel oppressive.
Yeah.
Right? What I don't vibe with at all, and what I found quite painful, was people celebrating his death, not understanding that by doing that you're just opening up a really dangerous gateway where you're prioritizing winning or your enemy losing over the preservation of dialogue and freedom of speech, right? Because I was just thinking, like, if I was this great debater and I was due to debate somebody that was the complete opposite view of me, and they died, I would in some ways mourn their death, because I wasn't. Now it's that victory is taken away from me. That opportunity to defeat them how they should be defeated is taken away from me, right? Because our battleground should be in speech and debate. And if you can't debate, then go away, study, come up with more facts, come up with a more robust argument to persuade everyone else that you're right. As soon as you turn to violence, how can you persuade anybody that you're right? Because then you're relying on might is right.
Yeah. But even like I guess the whole framing of things as a debate, right, is it like also kind of adds to it, because there's winners and losers in a debate, and this is so this is how I wanted to frame it, right? Like, this has been building since like just before the rise of Jordan Peterson, what was 2015, right?
Yeah.
When you had the first anti-SJW compilations coming out on YouTube, and you had Milo and all of these things, right?
Yeah.
And the battle has been fought for almost a decade, right? And the fact that I think a lot has to do with the fact.
And you have a lot of the younger generation they've just they're born into this.
Yes,
right. They didn't know the piece,
No.
before.
No, and so like that's the thing, is that now like we're like and like this whole thing of like censoring people, shutting down debate, canceling, shaming, like all of these tactics, like again, it's all just has been pushing things to the extreme.
Yeah.
And this is like, the end result of that.
Well, one of the things that we're focused on here at Third Culture, rather than going into things that there are better platforms that discuss it because that's their focus, but where we're trying to analyze is from multiple cultures' perspective. Like, where is the honor? Right, I'm looking at like common values, and surely even if we have different ideologies, surely we can come to an agreement where like let's find things that we agree upon, and surely something like if this is a battle, surely we both agree that there should be a certain level of respect and honor for those fighting. So let's say if my side has a warrior and your side has a warrior, and then we find out that one of them's been poisoned before they can get to the battlefield, there's no honor in that.
Right. But in terms of the whole, speech and cultural dialogue.
So you're saying we shouldn't even frame it as a battle because that gets people amped up.
Well, it is a battle whether we like it or not. It's just that, these definitions have been blurred because of ideology, blurring words and actions as the same thing, right? There's the trifecta of like thoughts, words, and actions, right? When things get into action, we have laws already in place, that kind of protect the peace. Speech is very, interesting because that's where the what?
You wobble a lot.
Oh shit. Okay. But speech. Every civilization had to have deal with the idea of free speech,
Yeah.
and how much is one allowed to say, how much is one allowed to say about certain things in certain groups, and that has always been the case, and it is historically proven that when that type of censorship and laws have been passed and things like that has led to rebellions and revolutions. And because if one ideology is enforced through culture, right, but then
so just don't touch the table.
Okay. If one ideology is like primarily enforced through culture, right, through media, institutions, education, whatever, then the other side is like going to grow in the shadow. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I just find it quite interesting, for both of us. There was a time when, people weren't that well informed on politics, and politics was just debate on like how much should we be taxed, or where should things be allocated and things like that. It seems like it seemed that our base values were the same. Now it seems like the core of what our values are becoming so different. And I find that's quite interesting from a culture perspective. And then also for Third Culture as well, I also find it like I've had this before in the old iteration of the podcast, but I find it interesting to discuss things on a cultural level, not an ethnic level, right? Because you can be of a different ethnicity but have the same culture or same values, and there's no issue, right? But the thing is like you can have people of the same ethnicity, different culture, different values, and then there's an issue, right? And so I sometimes feel like something like racist or something like that gets thrown in, and it shuts down the argument, or shuts down debate, when actually we should just be talking about just cultural and value differences. And I feel like that's quite it's a healthy discussion.
Yeah.
And so like don't throw race into it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there are. That's the ideal, right? That's the ideal. But because of the way that narratives have gone for the past like 5 decades, at least in the Western world, skin color for some reason does matter, right? And that is, I think it's wrong, because just like you, I think that skin, like the color of skin, is irrelevant. It's on nationality and culture.
Yeah.
So, but again, the fact that these things like racist, homophobe, transphobe, these labels have been used over the past like let's say decade or two, right? To, as you say, if anyone kind of questions what's going on,
you get attached with a label, and then it shuts down dialogue.
and then it shuts down people even looking at what is going on, and then what is going on creeps up,
because it becomes it's a very natural progression, right? It's like, this is what I believe, and if you don't agree with me completely, right, then it's because there's an element of hate in you, right? And so we can't then continue the conversation. So you have to accept my beliefs completely. But then what happens when two people have just completely different beliefs? That's what I'm saying, is like, one of our jobs as third culture is to look at like, okay, well, where can we at least like let's find a few points of agreement. It's like the basics of a healthy discussion. It's like, let's start from places of agreement. Otherwise, it's just like, how can you even have a discussion if you're like, well, I think the sky is blue and you don't? It's like, okay, then how can we talk about the sky?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, I think it in terms of that, and the clash of ideologies, right?
Mm-hmm.
The thing is that like we can talk about indoctrination and things like that, but the problem is within this ideology of race, right? There is a hierarchy.
Yeah.
Right? And that is kind of wild in itself if you think about it, right? But there is a hierarchy, and there is othering.
Yeah.
Right? And so now you can look at othering from like a evolutionary biological perspective, right? Which is kind of innate in us, in our biology, right? It's like if something is outside of the tribe, then we have a reaction to that.
Yeah.
But othering, in this sense, right? They have made it so that, like, if you are saying the things, or hold any of the belief that let's say Charlie used to talk about, then that is and that's the other thing, that's the other issue, is that they always use the most extreme example of fascist, Nazi, and that is like othering.
Yeah, I don't want us to take too many sides here and say they, and I just wanted to focus for this episode on just where can we find the common ground on free speech and how to move forward with that. But because I know it's very simplistic, but I genuinely think of it as it's like, if we can agree from now on, right, that there's a lot of emotions, there's a lot of like feelings, but if you step into the ring, right, as a debater, as a champion of your side, then that takes an element of courage, because you know that there are people out there that are going to hate you, right? So if you step in, like, then that ring should be honored for your courage, even for your courage and like your willingness to do so, right? So like, even if I disagree with you, if you're going to step in the ring, so I'm not talking about having a YouTube platform and you're just speaking to your base and you're just like, no, I'm saying like when you step into to have a debate on a public platform where people can see how you react to other ideas, how you can react, how your ideas hold up with someone pressuring them, right? If you step into that form, there's an element of respect that should be there, even if I disagree with you. Because you're putting yourself out there, that's an element of courage, and you're willing to like, and it shows you've done the work. If you're completely ill-equipped to enter the ring and you get smashed, go train, right? Just like a fighter, like go train, or like, you know, like, and then so and so the thing is like, and there's an element of honor with that, because you can be a heavyweight, robust debater, and this is your first time, and that's a mismatch, right? And so it's like, there's no honor in defeating someone that is a mismatch.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. It's like can we at least come to agreements on at least, which is what Charlie did, is have debates with people from the other side in a public platform where he was also even elevated, because he had quite a big platform, so he was even giving a platform to people who had lesser platforms than him with ideas that disagree with him, and I think that should deserve a level of respect.
Yeah, absolutely. But again, I think that is, you know, classical thinking in this day and age, because that format that you described of like, you know, respecting and like honoring the fact that they're even having the dialogue, right? And for both sides for like stepping up to the plate, right? Because of the way that ideas and informations are spread in this age, I think that may be a outdated.
But the thing is, it's the only, for me, I see it's the only way to win in this day and age without turning to another form of winning, right? Because let's say if there's a champion of an ideology that I disagree with, right, and I want to defeat it with debate, right, and none of my peers are capable of defeating him, then either our argument is too weak, or we've got to get better at convincing people that our ideology is superior, right? Because if I'm recognizing that I'm against this great debater and I can't defeat him with my words or with my argument, and so I hope he's assassinated or taken out some other way, then that's admitting defeat, isn't it? Because I'm not willing, and none of my peers are willing to get in the ring with you and defeat you in the way we've both agreed. So I'm going to take you out some other way. There's just no honor in that. That's admitting defeat. It's admitting that you have a weaker argument. Yeah,
and you know but again, that's why censorship and shutting down of debate exists and has existed throughout history. You know? Because people say things that don't jive well with the establishment, whatever you want to, you know, whatever alignment politically that is. And that way, and you know, but like just like speaking of culture, right? Like, because, dude, the way that social media has just opened up channels, right, in a way that, like, before with newspapers, radio, TV, right? You had a one-way communication, right? Yeah, you can write letters to the editors and things like that, you know. But now it's like two-way, you know, beyond two-way. It's like a multi-lane highway.
So let's look at other forms of, you could call it propaganda or influence, but where the areas that we work in with, like, art, a film, a movie, is that not a way to influence someone, to give them a new perspective?
Absolutely it is.
Right? And so should we not encourage, which is what we do, encourage original ideas, original films, original art to help you express your thoughts and feelings and views? And the thing is like that as well, again, like, you're putting it out there in a public forum, that is an element of courage, right? Because you're taking something that's personal to you and you're putting it out there for the public. But then once it's out there, it's up to your work and other people to see how that's received. Right? So if I make a movie and I'm like, this is how I feel, this is how I view, and no one likes it, it's like, what am I going to do? Hate them for not liking it? But if it's very persuasive, then surely then I've done a good job. Right? And if it's not persuasive enough, then I need to go and work on my craft.
Yeah. Yeah, and so that's why, like, media and art and all that we do is so powerful.
And like you said, one of the most powerful things that we can do, which we want to encourage that from all sides, is to help build up platforms for you to do that, right? And I think that's where we agree, even though we disagree on a lot of things, we agree on building platforms for people to have, to express themselves.
And that, you know, without censorship, without kind of those traditional barriers, right? Because, like, that's the thing, like, those types of platforms, like, are going to be more prevalent going forward. That's the only way.
Yeah. So,
right? Because the thing is that you have pockets of the internet and online culture.
Yeah.
Right, which are kind of festering in their own worlds.
Yeah.
You know, and then when that clashes with, like, reality or the larger culture, you know, there's, like, a disconnect.
Yeah. So final thoughts on this, and what we'll be doing in the future is we will be engaging guests that have a variety of views from us and beliefs from us, but one, we want to platform them, but two, we also want to give we also just want to see, on, especially from an art point of view, how they express themselves and how they do that, and we really want to encourage you to do the same, to, if you have a strong opinion or strong belief, to either find a forum to debate in it, because also, like, the process of debating, just like a fighter, the more fights you have, the more sure you are about your beliefs and how to handle certain arguments, and hopefully it shapes you as a person, but then also as an artist, to create something and put it out there, get feedback, and then do it again.
Yeah, but like, you know, in terms of that, I would say just, like, expose yourself to as much information as you can, you know, and be as informed as possible about these things, because that way you're not stuck in ideology and ideological bubbles.
Yeah.
And you're, like, able to stay open to new information that may change what you think, rather than being hostile to it.
Yeah.
You know, and the ultimate form of that is, you know, creativity, and that should never stop. You know, that truly is the only way that that is the universal language, like, you know, speech is whatever, but art, you know, art is, like, art is it, you know, and if we can explore that as a way of that of having those conversations without having those conversations, then that's what's up.
100%. Because debate and speech is a skill, right? And so you have people that are incredibly skillful at debating, even though they're wrong, they defeat you, right? Because there's all these different tactics, and given specific time limits and things like that, all those factors. But your art is your art, and that can come in all these different forms, whether it's music, fashion, film, however it is. So we just encourage people to create, express yourself, and then it's our job to platform it.
That's right.
So thank you for tuning in. Please check this space out. This is going to be the start of a different platform for us. To encourage your creations.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay. Thank you.
Cheers, guys.